Hello and welcome to Dining with Death. This episode is on our playlist Dining with the Damned, where we discussed criminals sentenced to die, their crimes, their executions, and their last meals. I'm Stacy Lee. Let's begin. Robert Alton Harris was born on January 15, 1953 in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, to an Army family. He was born with fetal alcohol syndrome and was abused as a child by several family members, his mother and father both being alcoholics. His father, a World War II veteran, was in and out of jail for abusing the children. Robert began having run-ins with the law as early as age 10, and he was put into juvenile detention at age 13 for stealing a car. When he was 14, his mother abandoned him and he was left to fend for himself. Late in his 14th year, he was again put in juvenile detention for car theft. Following his release, he found a job and got married, and he and his wife had a son. In 1975, while living in a trailer park in Imperial County, Harris beat his brother's roommate to death. He was imprisoned for manslaughter and was paroled in January 1978. These cases in the 70s where people murder someone and get like 4 or 5, this guy got 3 years. I don't know. At only 25 years of age, he had spent many years as a prisoner. While he was in prison on the manslaughter charge, his wife divorced him. Harris went to California upon his release, and he and his younger brother planned a bank robbery. They stole 2 guns from a neighbor's house in Visalia, California, and drove to San Diego that night. They spent the next 2 days buying ammunition and practicing the robbery in an area near Miramar Lake. On July 5, 1978, the Harris brothers happened upon a car occupied by 2 16-year-old boys, John Majewski and Michael Baker. The boys were sitting in a green Ford LTD eating hamburgers in a supermarket parking lot in Mira Mesa. The boys were best friends, and they had planned to go fishing later that day to celebrate Majewski's new driver's license. Harris and his brother commandeered the car and ordered the boys to drive to a remote area near Miramar Lake. Robert Harris told the boys that he and his brother wanted the car to rob a bank, and if the boys obeyed, they wouldn't be hurt. But when they got to the lake, Harris ordered the boys out of the car and onto their knees. The boys began to pray, and Harris said, "Quit crying and die like men." He then shot both of the boys multiple times, killing them both. I mean, you want to talk about senseless, evil, vicious crime. This is right there at the top of the list. 2 kids eating lunch in their car, and they died for it. The Harris brothers then returned to Robert's Mira Mesa home and finished the half-eaten hamburgers the boys had been eating. About an hour later, the Harris brothers robbed the Mira Mesa branch of the San Diego Trust and Savings Bank, located just across the street from where they had abducted the boys. Despite all of their planning, they didn't do a very good job getting away and were apprehended just an hour after the robbery. One of the officers who apprehended the Harris brothers was Stephen Baker, father of victim Michael Baker. He at the time was unaware that his son had been killed, let alone by the men he was arresting. Can you imagine? He doesn't know his son is dead to start with, and then he finds out later that not only is his son dead, but he apprehended and arrested the men who killed him. I'm sure that haunted him and haunts him if he's still with us, and I'm sure it haunted that community for a long time. That is absolutely shocking. The San Diego County Attorney's Office filed charges of felony auto theft, kidnapping, murder, and burglary against Robert Harris, while the U.S. Attorney's Office filed bank robbery charges against him. On March 6, 1979, Robert Harris was convicted of 2 counts of murder in the first degree with special circumstances, as well as 2 counts of kidnapping. He was sentenced to death. His brother was convicted of kidnapping and sentenced to 6 years in state prison. He was released in 1983. As I'm sure a lot of you know, the laws have changed since then. Now, if you participate in any kind of a crime where someone dies or is killed, you are just as guilty as if you pull the trigger. You don't just get kidnapping anymore. If you're there and somebody dies, you are also charged with murder. Robert Harris went through the usual appeals process but was scheduled to die on April 21, 1992. On April 18, 1992, District Judge Marilyn Hall Patel issued a temporary restraining order barring Harris's execution while she considered his appeal, stating that the gas chamber was unconstitutional. A stay of execution was issued, but then immediately vacated by the U.S. Supreme Court, allowing the execution to proceed. On Tuesday, April 21st at 3:49 a.m., Harris was strapped into the gas chamber. Seconds before the execution, Ninth Circuit Judge Harry Pregerson stayed the execution again. 2 hours later, the Supreme Court again vacated the stay, ordering that, quote, no further stays of Robert Alton Harris's execution shall be entered by the courts. At 6:01 a.m., Harris was again escorted to the gas chamber and strapped into the restraints. He winked at one of the officers witnessing the execution. The execution order was given at 6:07 a.m., and as the gas filled the glowing green chamber, he mouthed, "It's all right," to several of the 49 people present. Steve Baker, the police officer who was also the father to one of the boys, stated, quote, Harris just slowly started looking around the gallery, and the minute he saw me, he stopped, and he didn't look anymore. He mouthed the words, looking me square in the eye, "I'm sorry," and I nodded my head at him. Harris began to breathe deeply as if he wanted to get it over quickly. 7 minutes passed as he gasped and moaned and convulsed. He was pronounced dead at 6:21 a.m. His final words were, "You can be a king or a street sweeper, but everybody dances with the Grim Reaper," which is a misquoted line from the film Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey that actually says, "You might be a king or a little street sweeper, but sooner or later you dance with the Reaper." So, what did Robert Alton Harris order for his last meal? I'm going to show you. So, what did Robert Alton Harris order as his last meal? 2 large Domino's pizzas, a 21-piece bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken, a bowl of jelly beans, ice cream, a 6-pack of Pepsi, and a pack of cigarettes. Here it is. Let's taste it. Whoops. It's fast food pizza. Yeah. Kentucky Fried Chicken. One thing about Kentucky Fried Chicken, it always tastes the same. A bowl of jelly beans. I don't think they had Jelly Bellies back then. They probably just had like the black, purple, green, yellow, but I couldn't find those. I can only find those at Easter, so I'd rather have Jelly Bellies anyway. That one's cotton candy. They're so good. I'm like orange sherbet, I think. Yeah. It said he had ice cream. It didn't specify which kind, so I just got vanilla. Ice cream is my thing. If I want something late at night, it's ice cream. So good. Pepsi. I'm a Diet Coke girl myself, but I cut soda out of my diet quite a few years ago, so any soda tastes good to me now. Yeah, tastes good. And a pack of cigarettes that I'm not gonna smoke. I'll eat anything I have to for this. I'm not gonna smoke cigarettes, sorry. I already have enough bad habits. So there you have it, the last meal of Robert Alton Harris. Thank you for joining me today as we went dining with the damned. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time on Dining with Death. Bye.